Harry's comes from Tesla. He's going to talk you through the technical side of things, and yeah. All right.
Thank you very much. So my name is Harry. I'm part of the Tesla residential energy team, and I'm here to talk about Powerwall 3 with Lightning Energy. So we always start with our mission statement. I know there's a lot of distraction around in the world about Tesla and certain people, but we just want to bring everything back to what we actually want to do, which is to accelerate the world's transition into renewable energy and the electrical grid. And we have a huge focus on it because we see the effect from global warming and climate change. The LA fire, the storms in Malvern a couple of weeks ago, and the floods in Queensland recently. We sense that there's a sense of urgency for us to transition as quickly as possible. And I just want to quickly ask here, has anyone joined the transition with an EV or anything like that? Raise your hand if you have. There's a few. Any of them is a Tesla? Most of them? Great, nice. How are they doing? Doing good? Nice. I'm glad to hear that. I have a Model Y myself. I had it for a couple of years, and I actually have I have two Powerwall 2s myself for about 5 years now, so they're doing really great. Part of the demo I'll be doing is actually to show you what my Powerwalls are looking like in a moment. But yeah, coming back to this. So just going through a quick overview of what the energy market is like. In the world right now, so this is the global consumption of the energy, which is 165 petawatt hours of energy per year, which, to be honest, I'm not familiar with that word at all, and I have to count how many zeros that is. And it turns out, if we change that into the energy we use in Australia, it will take about 600 years for us to use that much energy that we use. So we use a lot of energy as an economy. And unfortunately, even though we've been growing, the sustainable energy part is only 20%. So there's a lot of work to be done by us, but it feels, if you look at the number alone, it feels like, oh, it's futile. It's like, oh, it's too much work to do. But then we started to realize, hey, a lot of those energy that's being produced are not being used as work. There's a lot of wasted energy, such as, when you're refining, petrol and there's a lot of burning going on, or, in a petrol car, there's a lot of vibrations, sounds, or heat lost through using petrol, and you only get 30% of that energy to be used to push you forward in a vehicle. And then we realized that if we transition into a sustainable energy, there's going to be less of those, and it's going to be more efficient. And our problem can potentially be halved. So instead of 4 times the energy, it's about 2.5 for our current level, and we have room to grow in the future. But that will require a lot of transition into a more sustainable electrical grid. All right, so the demand for electricity is growing, as I mentioned before. Those are some of the reasons. Thank you for the EV owners here. EV market is definitely, up and up, except for last month. Don't mention last month, but yes, it's definitely doing well. And people are starting to see that the electric vehicle or smart vehicles are the future of the market. There's a huge uptake in the virtual power plant, which is, the smart energy grid. 30% of our, all battery storage has actually been taken into the virtual power plant, give you more money back for your participation. Increased PV size used to be, 5-10 years ago, it was 5-6 kilowatt. That's your average system size. Now it's minimum of a 9 kilowatt. Like, a lot of people are going for 12, 15, 16, even up to 20. So the increase in PV size also sort of represents the increase in your home electricity usage, which brings to the electrification of homes. That's a hard word for me to say. So heat pumps, hot water, EVs altogether, that especially when we switch from gas to electricity, including in government programs, for example, Victoria's, the electric cooktops, those type of things, that's gonna increase your electrical usage. So, we just wanna quickly show you what we imagine as a fully electrical home. So you have an EV, you have the power, you have the solar, but The problem with solar itself is that it only generates electricity during the grid, and then especially in the afternoon when the power is most dirty and most expensive, the sun is going down. Well, right now it's going down, it's generating less, and in winter it's probably already gone. So that's why we need the battery to capture the energy, first of all, to be able to power you through the night as much as you can, and also avoid using dirty grid, more expensive grid, and also having a home backup for you as well. So that's why we have a combination of those things that will actually make the grid cleaner. So it's not just one or the other, it's the combination of everything together. That's the most efficient way of doing it. So, introduction of Powerwall 3. You've seen this already, you've seen it in the video. The reason we've done this is we hear all the feedback from the market. There's a lot of different sort of demands for either from installation or customer for power or different certain things. And we redesigned the product altogether to answer all your questions. So we can say that the Powerwall 3 in the market right now is the best performance, most durable, scalable installs, best value altogether. It's pretty bold, right? It's a bold claim, but we feel like we're doing that, like for real. And let's go through why we think we're doing that. So, being a bit more technical, the Powerwall 3 has an integrated system where it has a solar and a battery inverter building, so it's a hybrid inverter, and it can take up to a 20 kilowatt solar system directly into the Powerwall without a separate inverter in your home. So easier wiring, easier installation, and it looks nice on your wall as well. So 20 kilowatt is quite a lot for most people, and so for normal single-phase household, it's quite nice. And we can convert that into a 10 kilowatt power, which is an upgrade, a doubling of power to the home compared to the last generation. And at the same time, if you have enough power from the solar, you can power your home at 10 and charge your battery at 5 kilowatt at the same time. So it's very efficient from DC to DC. You're not losing really energy through any conversion at all. So having everything integrated just works really well. And having a higher power allows you to back up the entire home. So you have the confidence that even with just one Powerwall, you can have all your backup put under that, and even charging the vehicle, which is under 10 kilowatt, will still be possible with one Powerwall. All your appliances, making sure that even during a blackout or during the night, you don't have to use the grid. And having more power will allow our existing features, make them better and make them more, earns more money for you as well. So, who has heard of virtual power plants? I should maybe ask. A couple? Maybe I should quickly go over what they are. Yeah, just very quickly.
So it's probably worth mentioning Amber.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Previous heard of Amber.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. Amber's a really good one that's worth looking into.
Exactly. Well, I'll go through the virtual power plant first, and maybe we can quickly talk about Amber after. So, what virtual power plants are is basically connecting all your batteries from your residential home into a virtual plant. So it gives the net operator the control of when the peak usage, the peak demand is highest in the afternoon. They can draw from your battery to service the demand instead of drawing from a coal power plant. So you'll be rewarded pretty handsomely by just participating in that plan. They'll just give you an entry fee, and also they will pay you more when they use the battery more as well. So that's the general idea of joining a virtual power plant. That will earn more money back and reduce the return of investment for the Powerwall. But also with Amber, I would say it's probably the most flexible version of virtual power plant. It basically gives you the entry point into a wholesale market. It gives you a price change on every 5 minutes? Yeah, every 5 minutes, and it instead of giving you a steady price of each hour is like 30 cents in the peak hours, every 5 minutes, it'll give you the realistic wholesale pricing, and you can have control of your battery to say, hey, when the wholesale pricing is low, under 5 cents, I want to charge my battery. And when the wholesale pricing is over 50 cents or 30 cents, I want to discharge to earn the money back. So you're basically using the electric grid to earn money, and you can do it without operating it too manually. You can just set the rules, and it will just operate it on your behalf. So even just having one battery there without any solar and just having Amber connected to it, you can earn money back really quickly.
Can I just touch on that?
Yeah.
Just with the Tesla energy plan, the way because I did a podcast with Amber the other week and they explained it really well, is so Tesla energy plan is like 1,000, 2,000, 10,000 batteries all connected together, and when they need to stabilize the grid because of grid infrequencies in the grid or whatever, they just take a small amount of power from each battery. So they might have 10,000 batteries, they just take a tiny bit from every one. So they refer to that as low touch. So if you're on Tesla energy plan, they don't really use your battery much. Sometimes they use it a bit more, but generally it's very low. And with Amber, you're not actually connected to a network of 1,000 other, 10,000 other batteries. It's just you. And then they're working the energy market just for your benefit only. So if the energy prices go high or low, it'll charge your battery, and it will do it quite aggressively, but it's for your benefit only. Whereas with a Tesla energy plan or a VPP, it's for the benefit of the grid, but also you get a bit of a kickback as well, and you're kind of sharing it around with other people, whereas Amber's more about just you. So it just depends whether you want to go for a more aggressive kind of get a bit more money doing it yourself, or if you just sign up to Tesla energy plan. But I mean, there's good kickbacks on Tesla energy plan as well.
Yeah.
And there's obviously other VPPs that you can look into. There's quite a lot of VPPs, but personally, I would just recommend Amber or the Tesla energy plan. I just check the fine print on those because some of them are not good. Sorry, you got one?
Just a quick question.
Yeah.
So how does that affect the life cycle of the batteries? Obviously, if you're just consuming your own power and you've got someone else consuming it, they're obviously going to be discharging a lot more frequently.
The Tesla energy plan is only a tiny bit, and I believe, and you can correct me, I think you actually get your warranty extended from 10 to 15 years if you're on the Tesla energy plan. Is
That's
that
when you join the energy plan at the very beginning of your installation, yes.
Oh, if you have to join at the start.
At the start, yes.
Okay.
Yeah, and what I found is
thank you.
What I found is that the VPPs tend not to use your battery that frequently, only when the peak demand is really high. Unless you're using Amber, then that's quite different. But normal VPPs, they will use it maybe once or twice a quarter. But you still get the joining fee, which is quite handsome, and that will still reduce the cost. And also, what I find is that our 10-year warranty on our products with 70% retention, it's quite conservative. Like even if you use virtual power plants, what we found is that after 10 years or after like 10 years of the vehicle, whatever, the retention is usually over 80 to 90% of the battery. So we're quite confident in the battery chemistry, especially the new chemistry in the 3, that is more durable, and having VPP is earning more money back without worrying too much about the quality of it. So that's my point. Yeah. Cool. So now we know about what VPP does, or virtual power plant. What we can say about the new Powerwall 3 is that having double the power gives you the ability to earn more money through power plant. Instead of outputting 5 kilowatts, you're outputting 10. You're earning double the money, basically, which is great. But also, having the extra power gives you more benefit in other areas as well. So, for example, a storm watch feature which preemptively charges your battery during a weather warning, and we control that, and then we send out notification, and you can opt out of it if you want, but we send out notifications, hey, there's going to be a storm near you tonight, we're going to charge your battery, and you have a quicker charge as well, a quicker discharge. Those type of things just makes things everything smoother. Retail tariff optimization, I'll show you that in a moment. It's quite easy to show you instead of talking through it. So yeah, having the power is not just for your backup, but for everything else as well. All right, and we basically incorporate everything into one Tesla app. So what you use for your Tesla vehicle is the same app for your Tesla Powerwall. It's better for me to quickly do a demo on my phone now. Okay, oh, here we go. This is my car. It's a Model Y, that's 2 years old. But if you click at the top, you can see if I go to my home, that is my Powerwall and a wall connector. So you can see at my home right now, this is live. It's generating 2.1 kilowatt hour of energy. My battery is already fully charged. I'm not at home, so I'm not using electricity much at all, and is all going to the grid. Let's look at the graph a little bit. So this is my home usage today. I was at home, so not much usage at all. This is my solar generation. You can see it's a pretty perfect curve because it's been really sunny and perfect day today. This is my battery charge rate. So you can see there's a lot of things going on that needs a bit more explanation. What's going on here, right? What's going on with all those curly lines? Why is it not fully charged at the same time? Well, we have a lot of different features that allows us to optimize the battery. First of all, I charged my car last night. But I put in what we call a time of use setting. So I tell my app when my rate is the lowest, which is between 12 and 6 a.m. That was about 8 cents. I got a really good deal. So I got that deal so that I can charge my car overnight pretty cheaply. And when I turn that on, it knows that it's cheap to charge from the grid. And the gray part over here is that it's not using the battery. Because my car's battery is bigger than the Powerwall, so it knows it's better to use the grid than the battery, or else it's going to drain the battery. So it's pretty smart. But it used the battery a little bit, about maybe half an hour, so that it drains enough for me to be able to use the solar and charge the battery to full and still have enough solar to be exported. So the gray part over here is the solar being exported to the grid. So you can see it in this way. So that's the charge from the grid. That's the charge to the grid. So that is quite good. So it still basically maximizes both my solar and my battery without me doing anything. I didn't touch anything on this today. I just input the settings, turn it on, and it did it automatically for me. It takes into consideration the solar generation, your usage on average in the last 7 days altogether, and it also takes into consideration the temperature of the battery. It has a heating mode. I'll talk about that later on, to preheat the battery to allow it to charge really quickly as well. So altogether, it's quite smart. And jumping out, going to the impact card, you can see that I've used either my solar or my battery for 76% of my electrical usage, and the rest of the 24% is just my vehicle charge overnight. You can see how much is solar, how much is Powerwall, and how much I offset from solar as well. So it gives you all the data for you to understand everything that's going on with the Powerwall, and it's quite smart. You can also look at last month, the month before, or you can look at the whole year and see what's been going on. So this is my last year. Going through winter, I still need to use the grid sometimes in the winter because the solar generation in Melbourne is not that great. But having that time of use settings in there, it maximizes my uses of solar and battery during the day and during peak. And then I always charge from the grid very, very cheaply. And usually overnight is quite clean as well. How do you do those settings? Well, it's under the settings tab, or settings here. So if you go into power here, you can change how much you want to put it as a backup. I do 10 because I usually have enough solar. Even when the power goes out, I usually have enough battery, so I trust that 10 is fine. But you can always change this and it will be applied to the power in minutes. And then time-based control, I put in my electricity plan, and then I did it only once. I just got a version of my bill from AGL, I put it in, and then I never really look at it again. I put in time-based control and it does everything else for me by itself. I didn't really have to tell it to do anything, and it'll be smarter than I am, to be honest. You can see there's vehicle charging as well. You can use a scheduling setting in here or on the vehicle, so it gives you all the options. Storm watch, you can opt out if you want. You can turn this off. or turn it back on. A lot of different things. You can always connect to your Wi-Fi and get all the information. I'm not going to go into the info so that you can gonna hunt me down in my home, but I'm just going to go back. So you can see there's a lot of features available. You can even go into support if you have an issue with your Powerwall. Manuals, contact support is all integrated in the app. So it's quite smart. Questions on the app before I move on? How are you feeling? Cool. All right. Any other questions? I'm just going to quickly.
Just a quick question. When I had my Powerwall 3 commissioned, they put it into self-powered because obviously I wasn't feeding into the grid. So is that better in summer than winter?
Yes,
Self-powered?
that's right. Let me quickly plug this back in. Probably no secrets spelled out. Thank you very much. Yeah, cool. Yeah, it's fine. So for self-powered, it's usually better in summer, and I play around with it a lot. So what I find is that in summer, you usually have enough electricity to power you throughout the night. For me, at least, at home, I don't usually use aircon that much from 10 to 6 in the morning. I usually use more aircon during winter, overnight. So that's where I find, self-power being more summer friendly, and then time-based control being more friendly in the winter. So one of the things I haven't been able to show you because it's summer right now is that during winter, it will be smart enough to charge the battery from the grid during off-peak, and it will decide automatically how much it will charge. Sometimes it will charge to 50% or 60%, sometimes it will have to charge to 100%, and that is based in a combination of, what's the solar going to be like next day, what's your usage in the last couple of days, and altogether they do a calculation and then try to figure out, hey, if I charge 60% and then the next 40% is going to come from solar, that's going to be enough for you to not go through the whole day, but go through the peak hours. So they'll always prioritize your peak hours, which is the most expensive, most dirty time for you to use grid. That time you are covered by solar or Powerwall. So that is the calculation.
So does it do seasonal trending on your usage and that sort of thing? So obviously,
I don't think seasonal training is necessary. It's usually just use the most recent data. So if you use the current data for example, the next day.
the previous days.
Yeah, so you look at. No. So it's looking at your last 7 days and the next day's forecast. Yeah, very short window. Yeah, 100%. Cool. Because sometimes you change your electricity usage habit. If you have a new appliances, that changes everything. So it's better to just look at the 7 days. Yeah. All right.
You said that you put in your bill and everything like that. So with the sort of that information, you put in the times that certain things are charged by their power company, so off-peak rates and peak rates, all those sort of things, and then the app takes care of that.
Exactly. Yeah, so I just tell them at this hour to this hour is peak at 35 cents. And this hour is shoulder, and this hour is off-peak. So, and it calculates everything for me.
Can it take up the usage side of it as well? Because some people say, the first whatever, sort of so many kilowatts or kilowatt hours.
Yeah, I don't know about those type of plans. I don't think we have that feature in the app at the moment. Yeah, potentially an update, but to be honest, I think globally, time of use is more popular, and that particular scenario, I don't think we see that in the market a lot. So I potentially believe that's one of the reasons that we don't have it there. And then if that's not popular, we probably won't put it there in the future. That's my educated guess. Yeah. Cool. All right. Any other questions for the app before I move on? Okay, cool. No worries. Next slide. All right. The build for all climates. Basically, we redesign the whole thing to make sure it's safe, right? So not just the battery chemistry, but the enclosure and everything. We make sure that it can survive the Australian weather or the global weather. It can sustain from -20 to +50 degrees, regardless of whether or not it's under the sun. So our warranty doesn't really say, hey, you need to avoid the sun. It's just, logical to try to avoid it depending on where you are. But if you don't avoid the sun, but if your ambient temperature doesn't go over 50 degrees, you're fine. And it actually has a lot of self-protective mechanisms. If the temperature gets higher, 40, 45, 50, 60, it will start to reduce its output to protect itself or eventually shut it down. There's a lot of electronics like that that has those features. Even your phone has that. So that is just built-in. It's quite easy and smart. And then, for our climate, we don't usually use this feature, but we do have a heat mode. If you're in the mountains, for example, and it's really cold, you will try to heat up the battery to an optimal temperature so that whenever the charging is happening, you will be charging at the optimal rate. So our vehicle has that feature as well. If you plan to go to a supercharger, it knows that you want to charge when you stop. It will warm up the battery to the optimal temperature, and when you plug in, it's the highest power. It will save you time to charge the battery. So we just copy paste in there. It's quite nice. Same company, it works pretty well. Like I said, 7 days basis, we've already gone through that. Quick video again, we like to do videos, sorry. This is just a quick manufacturing situation of our battery. I'll just let it play. So that 700,000 Powerwalls a year, that's what we're aiming to. So we're ramping up to this speed. That number is the amount of Powerwalls we installed altogether before Powerwall 3. We're going to do that in a year, maybe next year. Yep. So it says 25 seconds per Powerwall. That's the goal. We're ramping it up. We're right now about 90 seconds. So this video is about a minute long. Ideally, after this video, we've already made 2.5 Powerwalls. A quick update. So we're gonna go into the more technical side of things about Powerwall. A live update of what's going on in Victoria networks. Got a quick photo of where the networks are. It's a little bit small, apologies, but if you want to come over to have a look later on, we can bring it back to this slide. The good news is that in the last couple of days, we just passed AusNet for DC coupling, so we can start installing with AusNet, which is really great news. We've been waiting for that for a little while. The general trend you can see here is that we are permitted in most places. And the only place that we're not yet permitted is the combination of City Power, Powerwall United. They are all under like the one certification. So that's why I bundled them together. But the good news is that we expect an update this month, which means that we're close. And that means that once we've done that, you can install anywhere in Victoria. So that's pretty great.
So currently you're permitted for AC coupling,
Yes.
but not DC coupling, in basically the peninsula.
That's right.
And there.
And the west side.
Yeah.
West side of Melbourne or west side of Victoria. So the difference between those two columns, the AC and DC, is that with AC coupling, it means that either you don't have solar at all, or you have an existing inverter, like a Sungrow or Solar Edge or something like that in Enphase, and you are coupling a battery to that system. That means that solar is not directly going to the Powerwall 3. That's what we mean by AC couple or on this side of things. And this side is when you have solar connected directly to the Powerwall. Sometimes you have both. Sometimes you have an inverter, but you want to add more panels down the line. If you have a pretty old system, you add a Powerwall 3 and new panels, you can do that, but then it will fall under the DC side of things as well. So that's the update. Questions? Yeah?
That's 5 kilowatt per hour, per day, is it?
So 5 kilowatt is the power. So that's the constant power of how much you can output. So
That's it, at any one point in time.
Any one point in time, exactly. Yeah.
So the system will ramp up to 5 kilowatts and it could do that continuously for an hour. So that's just feeding back to the grid. So that's the power that you're not using that's going back to the grid that you're getting maybe 2-3 cents for. So you get very little benefit. So you're still all good for self-consuming the power. Yeah, until we get this sorted with the backstop, which is basically so they can control the systems remotely, so they can curtail it if there's too much renewables to the grid and the voltage is getting too high, then they want to be able to ramp the systems down. So it's just a bit of a administrative nightmare.
Yeah, we're working through that. So coming back to 5 kilowatts. So for example, the sun is shining for like 6 hours today, and for most of those 6 hours, your battery is already full and you're discharging to the grid, right? So that is what the 5 kilowatt limit is. So the maximum power you can send to the grid, depending on how much solar you have. And then coming back to so it's a single-phase system. It's a single-phase system. It can be installed in a 3-phase home. So what we have is a gateway up over there. That's a box for our metering and then islanding. So for each Powerwall system, you will have a gateway installed. So the gateway connects to all 3 phases, and it monitors and balances everything. But the Powerwall will be connected to 1 phase. That means that during a blackout situation, you'll back up 1 phase. But during the normal operations, because of the gateway, you can balance everything out. You'll look like it's powering the entire home, but not backup. Yeah.
So sorry, there's a gateway for each
for each home, for each site, I should say. Sorry. So you can have multiple Powerwalls, but you need 1 gateway. Yeah, that's correct. Yeah. No worries. Do you want me to maybe go through a bit of backstop, what that means and stuff like that? Yeah, maybe.
We can, because so it looks like we'll be sorted by the end of the month for backstop.
Yeah. So just a general background on backstop. So it's like a new rule from the government, basically saying that they want to have certain level of control of your solar/battery. If there's too much energy on the grid, they want to have like an emergency switch to turn some things off so that the grid doesn't sort of explode, right? So that's basically what it means. And it's asking all the manufacturers to have that enabled in our hardware and software. So for us, we have the computer, everything set up. We just need to develop the firmware or the software to turn it on. And we are doing that to be tested for all our networks to make sure that we comply to the requirements. So that's basically what it is. And because we have a lot of different networks in Victoria, we probably have the most network compared to other states, unfortunately, or fortunately, depends on your point of view. We need to go through with each and every one of them. But we're getting them sorted, so eventually it should be all good. Yeah.
So just quickly, who here has solar and is considering getting a battery retrofit to the existing solar? Okay, so about half the people. And who here is considering a Powerwall 3 because they want to get a solar system and have it all connected up in one installation? Okay, so you guys are basically over here. So that's the thing. If we might have to wait a couple of weeks, hopefully by the end of the month. So even if you did want to do it, it's a couple of week lead time before we install it anyway. But that's for the new installations with solar connected to it. But anyone who wants to retrofit a battery to an existing system, you're over here. So you're all good. And which in that case, we are actually still offering the Powerwall 2 for retrofit installations as well. I think there's they put some to Solar Juice, one of the suppliers. They've got a couple hundred, and then after that's it. There's no more. I know the Tesla factory aren't making any more. I know you're not.
Make them last quarter actually. Yeah. Have the locked-in units coming to Australia.
So they are becoming quite scarce. And with the Powerwall 2s as well, does anyone here have a Powerwall 2 that they'd like to add another Powerwall to? Is there anyone? No. Okay. Just because that's the thing, because the Powerwall 2 is not compatible with the Powerwall 3. So some people, they've already got a Powerwall 2 installed in their property and they want to get another battery, and they asked if they can connect a 3 to the 2, but that's not an option. They have to get another 2. So if anyone was in that boat, they need to make a decision soon while there's still Powerwall 2s available. Exactly. Yeah. But it's
friends or family that have a Powerwall 2?
And having 2 of them is an expensive venture, so not everyone has the luxury of that, but yeah. Oh, you do?
I do. I bought them at the most expensive time, actually. Now it's cheaper than, whatever. I'm not going to say how much. I don't want to show off, but it was quite a lot.
All right.
Yeah, all right, so I appreciate it. Cool. Well, we can move on from here, but if we need to come back to the map, we can definitely do that. we just want to quickly talk about the spec of the Powerwall so that you can sort of position where you want to imagine where you want to put it, either in your garage or outside of the house. So we have certain requirements about how we want to put it. So the maximum height from the foot here is 1.14 meter. So the reason for us to have a limitation is that the switches on the side, we want to make sure they are reachable when you lift them up. So reachable by a reasonable person. So that's our requirements. And as you can see from the schematics here, the vent is coming from the bottom and coming from the top back here. It's not from the side to side anymore, which is going on for the Powerwall 2. That allows us to pull the Powerwall 3 together a little bit closer. So the minimum requirement is only 150 mil, which is a lot shorter than what we require for the Powerwall 2. So you can stack them, quite nicely in a row if you want to. And the front has a little bit of a gap just so that you allow people to be able to service it, if needed. Next one.
Can they bring down on their side? Can the Tesla 3 be mounted on the side?
I wish. No. Because the wires are coming from the side, so no. Yeah.
And they're always mounted on the ground, is that correct?
You can mount it on the wall. So this is an indication that you can mount up to 1.14 meters off of the wall. Yeah. So the wires come from the side, or you can come from the behind as well. So if you want to have a neat and clean installation, it can look like something like this. But yeah, just because the possibilities of from the side and also how the weight sort of carries, is always mounted from the back like that.
There's also limitations for how close it could be to a doorway or a window, isn't there?
Yeah, so that will be more for like governmental regulations and safety regulations about.
It has to be a metre away from the door. I've got outside the garage. So it's a metre away from the door, and it could be close to the window, so there's fumes or anything like that.
Yeah, so the regulation is 600 mil to the sides from a window and 900 above. So it is kind of problematic when we're doing installs. We usually come do a site inspection first to check it out. But yeah, if the window can't be open, it's a bit different, but yeah.
Yeah. So there's a whole set of,
Another question now. If you mount it off the ground 1.1 metres, do you still have to install bollards in front of it?
That's a good question. Yeah, that's.
We get asked that one a lot.
Yeah.
Because what we've got is like cupboards in the garage, and then we want to mount it up over to like sitting
Above the cupboards?
Yeah. So if you're going to hit the cupboards before you get to the batteries.
The final say comes down to the electrical inspector who comes and inspects the job after it's done. And it can be there's been some heated arguments with these guys, put it that way. So the one about mounting the battery up really high, I said, but a sedan car, a car would come in and a car wouldn't be able to hit it. They go, yeah, but what if someone's backing up a caravan? And I've gone, all right. And they go, but I don't own a caravan. But what if you sell the house to someone and the person who buys the house owns a caravan? So it's just some stupid arguments. But generally, if it's in a garage, it's probably going to need a bollard. I hate to say it.
Yeah.
Look, if you do have an issue with a garage, you have a battery going in a garage, Tesla Powerwall is the best battery that you can get, because you can see all the other ones we have around here are actually deeper. So this is the most, actually the Powerwall 2 is the most slimline, but the Powerwall 3 is almost as slimline. So if it's going in the garage, that's what you want, is something that's as slim as possible. Because no one has a huge amount of space in the garage.
The other thing I was told, I did mine externally, and the wall that I've got, it's a brick wall, and the inspector said, do I own that wall? Because it's actually on my property. I had it built when we did the extension. He said if it was a shared wall, you can't put it on a shared wall, because the neighbours could decide, no, we're going to knock the wall down or whatever. You can't
mount it on the wall or even in front, but even in front of the wall?
No, if you don't own that wall, if it's a shared wall, you can't mount it on that. So further down, I've got the neighbour's garage back wall, couldn't put it on that, but I could put it on the wall that's on my property, and I built it as part of the extension, but he said, no, you can't put it on a shared wall. So I had to show him the site plans.
They're pretty strict with the regulations, unfortunately. So
That's all right. All right. Yeah, where obviously the inspectors will, the installers will always do a house inspection and find out the best place to put your battery, and then we just trust, make sure that the installers just do their job. That's all we're asking for. Yeah.
We'll do some more questions at the end.
Cool. Let's do that. So we've got a quick schematic of what it looks like potentially. We call this single line diagrams in the industry. So this is when a DC coupled system looks like. So solar goes into power directly. Traditionally, you'll have an inverter over here, but now it's all connected together, so it's nice and clean. And then it backs up the whole house through the gateway, and then your grid is coming from the other side. Pretty simple, clean, and what we want to see from Powerwall 3 most of the time. Also, we see that for existing sites, you can see that's your solar. Connected to the gateway so that you can monitor it, you can figure out what's going on with the input output, connected to the battery. And depending on your load, sometimes the solar is not enough, or solar or battery is not enough to back up the whole house. And then you have some non-backup circuits over here for non-essential loads. When you back up, you want to back up the only thing you need, like your lights, I want to back up my internet 100%, any medical devices, but you probably don't want to back up your aircon. That's a bit more optional. So that's usually where we want to split that into the non-backup side. Yeah.
Can I just confirm that you've actually got external solar coming through the Powerwall 3. You can also add solar and add it into the Powerwall 3.
Yeah, I didn't include that photo. I just don't want to confuse people. But yes, we have a photo that shows exactly. You have another solar. So for example, if you have a really old solar that's grandfathered in, you don't want to move it. It's still pretty good, generating a lot of power. But you have more roof space. You can put in a Powerwall 3, have another DC coupled solar come into it, have more generation that way.
And the gateway is protected from any failure in the inverter?
Yeah, so it has an islanding system. If anything happens, you'll just trip. Okay. Yeah.
Does the inverter going in, does that have to be a hybrid inverter?
You mean this one?
No, going in, yeah, we're talking about
that one. So any solar inverter is fine. So how we couple it is that we will just cap the charge rate to the Powerwall at 5 kilowatts. So that's one of the difference between AC and DC couple. AC can only do 5, which is the same as the Powerwall 2. If your inverter is bigger than that, you may want to put that onto the backup side. But if your inverter is 5 or under, you can put both under the backup.
I think the important thing to realize with this, so if you are doing AC coupling, is this is an existing inverter that you've got at your house. It's not actually connected to the Tesla battery at all. It's only got this CT here, which is just measuring the magnetism to know when the battery should, or when the house is basically, when the house starts to draw loads, this will measure that. It will tell the battery to discharge. When the solar is generating solar, then this CT will know. It'll tell the battery to charge. So they're not communications wise, they're not linked. It's just a CT, which is pretty old school, just works through magic. Realistically, it just wraps around the cable and it just knows, like magnetism, no direct contact. But so that's why that Tesla is really good for a retrofit, especially the Powerwall 2. It was a classic for us. We just didn't matter what system, could be 10 years old, could be the crappiest inverter ever. We just bang Powerwall 2 on, CT clamp over the cable, done. That's what he was saying before, is you can have the option to do both. So you can AC couple to an existing inverter, but then you want to upsize your solar system. We don't want to touch the old system, so we just have new panels and then we connect them to the Powerwall 3. And it's just so easy. It's the easiest way to upsize the system.
Yeah. It's just a quick add-on. You don't have to worry about rewiring or anything like that. That's just going to cost you more money. You don't have to worry about that.
And the gateway, sorry to interrupt. The gateway can control the power usage to draw it from the solar or from the Powerwall 3, for example, and manage that power usage.
So the gateway basically monitors everything. It will try to capture all the ins and outs from solar, from your home load, from the grid, everything like that. And then it feeds that information to the Powerwall. The Powerwall has the computer in it. So the computer's in here to calculate, okay, I got all that information. How do I manage that? Okay, I have a lot of solar coming in. You're not using solar from the home. I'm gonna take that solar and put it into my battery. So that's what the computer does. So it will capture all that information here, and then it will calculate and basically operate through the battery. It doesn't really do anything to the other sort of lines. It will just look at it and see what's happening.
So in the scenario, I've got a 5 kilowatt system. I'm using that 5 kilowatt system existing all the time, and then just managing what the Powerwall 3 system adds to it.
Yeah, exactly. So Powerwall 3 is basically adding onto it, and if it sees that you're using all of the power from solar, if you use time of use, you will try to say, hey, you have a lot of usage, maybe your solar is not enough. I'll try to charge from the grid a little bit more during off-peak to support your usage throughout the day. So you can do that still. Yeah. I think we'll have a question over there.
I don't understand. Wouldn't it make more sense than just to ditch the old inverter up and up the front end?
Yeah, that's a
So how it works in the solar industry is the regulations change all the time of the wiring between the inverter and the panels, and basically every year they upgrade the regs. So like you used to never have to put the cables in conduit, and then you have to put it in conduit, then they change the ways you want to saddle it, then they change all these different things with drip holes, drains and loops and stuff, and different ways. Now you can only run the cable in certain ways. So whenever we go to touch an existing system, you basically have to upgrade all the wiring, and then you go to connect it up to the new inverter, and then there's an earth fault, and it's just an absolute nightmare.
So sometimes it's not certified anymore.
Yeah, the panels are not certified anymore. The inspector comes out and he goes, oh, I know you thought this would be right, but I don't like it. And then we have to go back and change it again. Exactly. So just dealing with an old system, like if fair enough, like we did the other day, if it was like 2 or 3 years old, then we might be able to just reroute the DC into the Powerwall. But I don't like to promise it, because if it's like 5 years old, 6 years old or more, you're probably going to have a bad time. So it's easier just to leave it and just AC couple it. That's the beauty of this CT. Just wraps around the cable. So all this wiring could be totally compliant back in 2012, and doesn't matter. We're just doing a CT here, and we can make it work with the Tesla Powerwall. We don't have to rewire it, because once you're dealing with an old system, you're actually better off ripping the system out and putting a new system in and claiming the rebates again than you are trying to bring an old system up to scratch. Which is what a lot of people do, I will say. Just going, oh, we've got this old 2 kilowatt, 3 kilowatt system that was installed 10 years ago, barely producing, is taking up all the prime real estate on the north side of the roof. Just rip it off and then put a new 12 kilowatt system across the whole roof, straight into Tesla, done.
Yeah, that's it.
So that's the best thing to do. Yeah, there you go. Probably from our advice. Yeah.
So, 100%. Nice. Cool.
Just another quick thing, I've noticed on the Powerwall with starting up aircon, it actually draws off the grid. So there must obviously, the batteries don't handle any rush current coming up off your aircons as the compressor starts up. Just needs to draw just off the grid, just for a little while until the compressor fires up, and then it's running off the Powerwall.
The low Rotor amps is pretty high it's like 185 amps for that, but it depends on like the reaction time, I would say. So yeah, sometimes I see it in my Powerwall 2s as well, like for a fraction of a second it draws. So like it uses the grid to sort of balance it.
I just noticed it starts coming off the grid, and then a few minutes later it's running off the Powerwall.
Yeah, sometimes there's a little bit of a delay there.
Yeah, exactly. So the grid, so we still design this to be what we call an on-grid system, which means that it will use the grid as like a backup. So sometimes it uses the grid to sort of balance like small sort of voltage here and there, just to make sure everything is like seamless and you're not having any brownouts or anything like that. But yeah, it's designed to do that and also support the grid and make it grid cleaner as well. So that's sort of our reasoning to make it on grid and not off grid at the moment. So yeah, it's pretty good. Next slides maybe. All right. So we just want to quickly mention that we have the program of certified installers, and we have a differentiation between that and our premium certified installers. So as you may know, in Australia, we don't do installations ourselves. We do that in America, but not here. And we rely on the pillars of the installers in Australia to get certified by us first before they can install. So we certify them to make sure that they get the relevant training. We know that they have the right license and they're right insured, and then they support the product. They learn knowledge, go through training, those type of things. But that's the bare minimum. But we have another tier for premium installers, such as Lightning Energy, for having a long-term relationship with us, have deep knowledge of the product, as you can see, as you can tell from not just the Powerwall, but about your electrical circuit and entire market overall, and we'll have the best support for you as well. So we just want to quickly say thank you for Lightning Energy for being our premium installer for long term. And
we had to work 4 years to get that. I started in 2020 with Tesla, and it took 4 years to get there. So I think there's only three premium installers in Melbourne.
Yeah,
Don't worry about who they are, just us.
We have we have very exclusive. We have a huge network of certified installers, but in Australia we only have 30 something, less than 40 premium, and that just tells you something, right? So we trust them a lot. They're the best of the best. So we just want to say thank you very much. Thank you for coming in, and thank you for allowing me to be here to do the presentation, and we'll open up for more questions.
In regards to an average use where we're not wanting to export and whatever, should you still split your solar panels, or can you just leave it on one side of the roof?
Just get boring up.
Oh, you mean like an east-west split? It probably matters a little bit less if you have a battery, because you're smoothing it out by storing your power during the day, so you've got it when you need it. Yeah, look, that's really a case-by-case thing. There are definitely arguments even within the industry. Some people think north is the best, and some people think east and west is the best, because people use power in the morning and the afternoon and not necessarily as much during the day. Yeah, but then if you've got a battery, then you might as well just go full north if you're not using too much power. Well, that's what I mean. Like, every house is different, and every person's usage is different as well. Yeah. But once you've got a battery, if you can get through 24 hours or close to it between just solar and battery, then it doesn't really matter as much.
Yeah. You just have it all on one side, because your battery would do the peak.
Yeah, that's right. But the benefit of Powerwall 3 is, as well, is that it has three trackers in it as well. So if you have panels directly connected to a Powerwall, you can have basically three different three-way facing panels, and it allows you to do that. So you have the flexibility. You can do all north-facing, three-way facing if you want to. You can do all that. Yeah. So it's up to your house basically.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah.
I've got a Powerwall 3 and it's not exporting to the grid.
Not exporting to the grid.
And I've been told that there has to be some reprogramming happening, and it's happening in February. Is that correct?
That would be that'd be the backstop thing that we were talking about. What network are you in?
Sorry.
What network are you in? Power Core.
In Canterbury, so.
Canterbury.
Let's go back
City
to the
Power. Yeah. We can run back. So,
City Power.
Sorry, you kind of need to solve a puzzle at the moment. It's
inner Melbourne, suburb. Yeah. So
City Power. Yeah. So we should be, by the end of the month, we should be able to export to the grid.
Yeah. So actually, an update on that will be certified, but the firmware update will be later. So probably Q2. Yeah. So we'll be certified and be able to install, but the Q2 will fully feature enable it. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So probably April or something. Yeah.
She uses as much power as possible up till then.
So basically what's happening is that because it's such a new program, we have to rush and develop all the software for it. So we are basically certified to install, but we're waiting for our engineering team to cook out the software to turn the feature on. So that's what we're waiting on. No, that is something different. So the firmware maybe it's later than February. I suspect maybe April or sometime in Q2. Yeah. So. Yeah, it's temporarily not allowing to export, I understand, but once the software update is turned on, and then the installer will turn the feature on for you, and then you'll be able to export.
So do I have to update that myself, or will it update?
Nah, it'll be automatic.
Yeah, it'll be. We push it out from our head office, and then it'll be sent to all the batteries.
You would have thought, wouldn't you, that if you're going to release it, you have it ready to go.
The thing is, the regulation is so new, but they want to action it straight away. It didn't really give us any grace period for us to, adapt our products. So that's why we have to, first of all, get certified.
Regulation is
Yeah, so it's the governmental regulation to say, hey, backstop. So it's called backstop. It basically is a control scheme that.
Yeah, no, I understand.
Yeah.
Okay, so it's the backstop regulation.
Backstop,
It's preventing the export.
Yes.
And that's what you have to.
Yeah, and this is, if we never have backstop, we never have to worry about this. You can start exporting straight away. But yeah, this is just saying, hey, you need to do the new thing, and we're doing the new thing, but it's going to take a bit of time.
Okay, so
Yeah.
April.
Hopefully.
Well,
Q5 trademark. No, I'm kidding.
as soon as possible.
As soon as possible, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, what's your feed-in tariff anyway? Do you know?
10 cents.
No, that's a lot more than what I'm getting. Yeah. Yes, exactly. I need that 10 cents. But yeah, we're working on it really hard to try to get that sorted.
So
Yeah.
you can't give me an approximate month.
I don't want to give you any false hope, but it's so they force us to do a new programming, and we're doing it. Our engineering team is focused to develop it and deploy it, but we need to go through testing, making sure there's no bugs. It's not going to break your Powerwall, and make sure we deploy it to everyone.
Schedule, like you can't tell me when it's going to kick in.
We have an idea of when we want to release it, but those are like more like internal information, because that time can change all the time. We just want to make sure that we don't give you any false hope. Right, we're thinking, April may be good, but who knows if the test environment becomes more complicated, or they add on more rules. Who knows? So we don't want to give you that.
In regards to Wi-Fi, is there a certain criteria you need to have, like signal strength and speed? Because all these appliances are taking more and more Wi-Fi. Is there?
And there is an EVS internet as well. It's 4G units, right?
Yeah. So it has a 4G. So for internet connection, we have three options. Wi-Fi is one of them, and then you can connect Ethernet directly into the Powerwall if you want. So you can avoid the Wi-Fi issue altogether if you can wire that, if that's easy enough. And then you will always have a backup option with a 4G card. So there's a 4G card built in, so that's free. We're not going to charge you monthly fee for it, don't worry. And that is a backup internet connection. If your Wi-Fi drops out, your Powerwall will still be connected, and you can still control it. But like I said, that's a backup option. We don't want you to use it constantly, just because the 4G signal sometimes, especially when it's inside your house, may not be that strong, and sometimes there's drops.
Does that automatically switch to 4G if it doesn't have the signal?
Yes, that's correct. That's right. So yeah, depends on your signal. Like my thumb rule is that if you are at the place that you want to install your Powerwall and then check your phone and you're still connected to Wi-Fi, you're pretty much okay. But if you see just one bar or you're dropping out, it's like maybe get an extender or something. Your installer will probably be able to advise, like, we can put in like extender here or Ethernet here to get you connected. Yeah. Yeah.
Your house is set up in three-phase?
Yeah.
And with this system, will it be connected to three-phase or?
So the gateway will connect to three-phase for monitoring. The Powerwall will connect to one phase for the physical power. And then the gateway will basically do all the calculation. Well, not the gateway, but the computer will just do all the calculations on balancing the three phases. So if there's one extra power coming from one phase, then you'll balance it out from the other two phases. So you automatically do that, and you will just work seamlessly as long as you're on grid. During off-grid, like blackout or off-grid situation, the Powerwall will back up one of your faces, and your installer and yourself will have a discussion about what you want to put on that one face to be backed up. Mostly your light, your fridge. I will definitely say internet for myself. I'm a nerd, so I need it.
If you put appliances on 3-phase running, like aircon, or then if there's a blackout, it won't work.
It won't work for 3-phase appliances in a blackout. No, normally yes, it's fine. Yeah.
That's basically the only thing that you lose.
Yeah.
The 3-phase aircons will work off the battery when it's connected to the grid. Mm-hmm. It's just when they disconnect from the grid, then it reverts back to single phase. Mm-hmm. So it kind. Yeah, it's kind of hard to explain.
From my point of view, like you also want to calculate during blackout, what do you want to use? And how much power do you want to continue to have to survive the blackout, right? If you're going to use like high power 3-phase appliances like air cons and stuff, it's going to drain your battery in 2 to 3 hours or less, and then you don't have the power to do anything else. So that's why we feel like having 3-phase backup is nice, but what do you really need? That's the real question. Yeah. Sorry, I'll have the gentleman first, and then you next. Yeah. Yes, sir. Yeah.
So that's most likely the most important question after sustainability will come here to know. Well, cost of ownership and return on investment. So the first question is about the separate battery. So I know that Powerwall 3 is got an inverter, and there's another option, just a battery. Okay, so how much would it cost and when it's going to appear?
He's doing a little bit of a spoiler alert he's talking about our DC expansion packs for Powerwall 3. Yeah, so we haven't come out with that yet, but we will, come out with a accompanying product for Powerwall 3. So we haven't announced the pricing for Australia, so I couldn't give you an answer on the pricing, but I'll just quickly introduce it if that's okay. Yeah, I'll just quickly talk about the feature, yeah? So basically, we will have a battery that looks like this, but only has battery in it, no computer, no inverter, no nothing. It will be cheaper, but I just don't know how much cheaper it is. But then that battery can be stacked, and then it can be easily expanded without going to your switchboard or anything like that. It will just be a single DC cable from the main Powerwall 3 to the expansion, and then you just double your storage. Simple as that. There's no additional power. There's no additional grid application. You just do one cable, bang, you have two times the storage.
And you're not paying for all that computer software and everything that's in the...
It's all in the main. It's all in the first one. Yeah, that's right. So we'll come out with it. We'll talk about them in detail later on, but that is a part of our master plan. Yeah.
So one expansion option is will be to plug in your EV battery in.
So you're talking about vehicle to home?
Yeah, that's starting to get a bit of momentum now.
Yes, it is.
So will the Powerwall 3 be able to cope with that? Is it just a programming issue, or is it a hardware issue?
So
forgetting the car, what's happening in the car.
So basically, you just need to make sure you monitor the load, and the gateway will try to process that. So if there's additional power come in, and then the market is shifting to that direction, we may just do a software update to say, hey, we can capture this with a CT and say, this is not solar, but this is additional power coming in from vehicle to home, and then we'll just react according to that. So this is not a hard thing for the Powerwall to be able to resolve. It's a matter of another software update, another CT, or something like that. As long as it's monitored, it shouldn't be a huge problem. Yeah. Sorry, I think you have a question.
It was just a very quick one.
Yeah.
So there's software updates that you do. Yeah. I know when the one was first installed, there was an update that had to be done. Yep. It had to be cold start, restart, hard start, that sort of thing. Yep. Is that the case with all updates, or are they just reboots itself automatically?
You will reboot itself automatically, and you will try to find like the least noticeable time for it to sort of insert. Yeah, something like that. So, or like when the battery is fully charged, but you still have solar and the battery is sort of inactive at that moment, you can try to do that. I've had my Powerwall 2s for more than 5 years, I've never really noticed any instances like, oh, hey, my power is not working. Hey, it's doing a software update. It's never really noticed that. So it will just do it very quietly. And
you get a notification on the app that it's got an update?
No, but if you check the firmware update, you'll notice that. Yeah. And then your installer will have the backend access to say, hey, there's a notification to say, hey, this is an update happening at this hour. The installer and us, we will have that backend information, but there's no need to, be that detailed. We want to make sure the app is user-friendly and don't be too complicated. Yeah, that's right. Yes, sir.
It's a quick one and kind of quick. So, is there any insight when the price will go down for Powerwall 3? Because I understand that, I'm saying that because I understand that most of this cost is actually an installation or then the transportation from the US. So, because the battery chemistry changes, it becomes cheaper. So the one that they have in Powerwall 3 is actually cheaper than the Powerwall 2. And they will be making even cheaper, going to sodium and stuff. So changes, Tesla optimizations, we know that they optimize their aiming for 20 seconds as you mentioned, and so on. So when do they expect? Because currently if you look at the average house consumption in Victoria, it's kind of, the return on investment is like more than 10 years. So it's more than the serviceability of the battery itself in most of the cases. So my point is, the only reason at the moment with this kind of price to install the battery is just the stability that we want to change something for your battery.
Well, there's two things that's in that question, right? So there's two levels I want to quickly talk about this. One is about the pricing. The other one is about return of investment. Right, so the pricing, because it's such a new product with such a high demand, not just Australia, but like in the US, our demand is through the roof, and we're having a lot of, not difficulties, but a lot of like excitement about, being able to build one, and then that's already being sold. So at the moment, I don't see that anytime in the short term. And with your, comment about, battery pricing or, raw material pricing, or anything like that, it's hard to predict, right? You obviously expect them to go down, or you want them to go down, and then a trade war happens and everything went to shit. Who knows? But it's hard to predict what the pricing is going to be in the future. Our goal is obviously try to reduce the pricing as much as possible to make sure that as many people can get access to our technology to service the grid as possible. Acceleration to the cleaner, sustainable future, right? But I don't see that happening anytime in the short term, and long term it's just hard to predict. So that's one side. Secondly, on the return of investment, there's a lot of calculations happening. Everyone has their own formula on, how quickly you can earn back your investment with solar versus solar plus battery or battery alone. We've done our version of a calculation. This is one example, right? So 10 kilowatt system, solar, nothing else, no battery, and versus Powerwall 3 by itself, no solar. And turns out, after 10 years, the battery earns more money than the solar did. That is with a particular plan that we have in Victoria, where during the day there's too much excess solar, there's a couple hours of free electricity period, there's a plan for that. Then you can set the batteries to charge during that day, during that time, and then you power it during the rest of the day. So, yeah, exactly. So a free power from the grid for 3 hours during the day. If you use that plan, it's quicker to get your investment back than a 10 kilowatt solar system alone. But depends on how you spin it, right? If you use time of use, yes, great. If you use your virtual power plan, yes, you're gonna get more money. But if you just wanna do self-consumption and just wanna have a backup, you have the reassurance that battery is gonna do that feature for you. Maybe it'll take a little bit longer, but you are getting that feature. So it depends. Yeah.
That's why it's all coming to self-consumption, because the current situation is that they're reducing the tariff, constantly, and they're also introducing measures to actually cut off when they want.
Yeah.
So meaning that it's all going to that point when you want to be just completely independent from the power grid.
Yeah.
And obviously to be independent, one Powerwall for most of the homes is not enough. It depends, of course, on home size and stuff, but might not be enough. And that's why I asked a question about the price. The overall cost should be a little bit lower to be, to be widely accepted, let's say, so in the Australian market.
Well, the good news is that the cost has come down in the last few years. When I got my Powerwall 2 plus installation, I had to pay about $17,000 or $18,000, including installation. So I had to pay a lot for my Powerwalls. But I still feel like they're good investments, not just for...
You're going off current electricity prices.
Yeah.
So 5 years ago, electricity was half the price.
Yeah, exactly.
So now you've probably already paid it off.
Exactly.
Electricity is
Yeah, when the electricity price goes up, then your investment comes back a lot quicker. Yeah.
Well, a lot of people don't factor that in when they try and work out the return on investment on a battery, that power prices increase, and you talk about things going down in price. And when you talk about inflation of electricity prices, you're also not really allowing for any inflation in the cost of a battery as well. So while it kind of in real terms might go down a bit, there might be a bit of inflation because of other materials and stuff and labour that's involved. Other things like labour in Australia, having someone install it, in a couple of years that might be 10% more, so an extra couple $100 there.
I think the power companies are actually trying to put the prices up to make it more beneficial for our payback. That's what they say.
Yeah. Well, it depends on your usage as well.
I legally cannot comment on that.
I wouldn't rely on anyone else. I think we've sold hundreds of Tesla Powerwalls and we've never had anyone regret it. And everyone always comes back and says that was the best thing I ever did. And the payback, you talk to them 2-3 years later and they're like, wow, I can't believe how fast it's paying for itself compared to what we thought it would. Because power prices just go so crazy. And then the benefits of doing things like VPPs and Amber and stuff, if you do that as well, you can really utilize it. And particularly with electric cars as well, when you start doing that and you've got solar, it's hard to track the ROI of any one item. If you've got a solar system, a battery and an electric car, and you're trying to cycle power between all of them,
I saved over $2,000, and I don't drive a lot. I saved over $3,000 last year just on petrol price when I switched from petrol to electric. And then most of my savings, or some of my savings, is using solar and battery. Mostly is from switching from petrol to electric, but some of it is from solar. Yeah, so it definitely depends on how you use it as well. The gentleman behind that, we just never had a question from him yet. Yes.
Just a couple of questions, just back on the three-phase.
Yes.
With the three-phase connection, you are limited to 5 kilowatts of charging at any one time.
So you mean charging the battery, or the charging the battery is always limited at 5 for the Powerwall 3. That is just to protect the battery for long-term use. So the charge rate for the battery and the discharge rate to the home is different for Powerwall 3. So that, yeah. So we protect the battery by just charging at 5.
So that's even when you're charging it to you still...
Exactly. So one of the previous ones I mentioned before, it was charging the battery at 5, even through DC. But then that means that you have capacity to do charging and going to the home at the same time. Yeah.
So with the three-phase, you're also limited to 5 kilowatts going out of battery.
That is not our limitation. That is the network's limitation. So
in a blackout situation, what's the output limit?
So at the moment, I believe it's still capped at 5. Is it? I believe it's still capped at 5 for three-phase. Yeah, I believe so. Yeah, we are looking to push regulators to change that. We're hoping that down the line they will give us the 10 kilowatt option, and then also give us the option to utilize the full power regardless of your normal regulation during a blackout. So those are the things that we're pushing to change.
10 kilowatts a lot of power down one phase.
True, but if you're backing a whole phase up, you're putting a lot of things on that backup phase, you potentially can use it, especially if you want to charge a car, right? Like that is also a three-phase product, but it can be derated into single phase when during a blackout. So if you want to charge your car, you can still do it. Right. Yeah, so.
All right, I think we'll take one more question and then we'll break up. So we'll hang around here for a little bit if anyone wants to. My sales team and stuff, we're all around here. So, all right, one last. Oh, it's got to be a good one for the last one.
I've got two questions. The 20 kilowatt battery, is that limited sorry, has that got any limitations on that 20 kilowatts? The 20 kilowatts input solar?
There's no limitation. You can be constant.
So we can just put 20 kilowatts of solar panel on.
Exactly, yeah. So, yeah.
Can you ask Mr. Musk if he can put one of those flashy lights on the front of that? Because we're all looking at it.
We do. That does, to be fair, that light does light up.
It does light up. It's a white light.
But we haven't actually, that one's not live, but in real life, yeah, when it is connected, there is a light there as well.
That one's cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know.
That's different. Yeah, that's different. Yeah. Yeah, we have some fancy lights. It's just different, that's all. No worries.
Yeah, all right, well, look, we'll leave it at that, otherwise we'll be here all night. But we'll hang around for a bit. If anyone has any direct questions, there's people at the back in Lightning Energy Sheds can help, or we can help.
Yeah.
And we're happy to arrange a one-on-one appointment with anyone. If anyone wants to book a time on our website, you can come in here and you can talk to us in here, talk to us for as long as you want. But yeah, so thank you everyone. Thank you, Harry.
Yep.
And